Welcome to my channel. I'm Janet Yung, and in my channel I talk about Feng Shui, Bazi, entrepreneurship as well as personal growth, especially in the areas of motivation, communication and success. In today's episode, I will be diving in on the topic of what does happiness and success mean to you? To me, I believe it means different things to different people because each of us, based on our background, our education, our upbringing, our values, and also from our Bazi chart perspective, how we view the world, how we will look at success and happiness. I believe at different stages in our life, happiness and success will mean different things to different people as well. So, for today's session, I will be investigating this from a Bazi chart or a Chinese metaphysics perspective. Without further ado, let's move on to the next segment where I'll discuss more. So, what does happiness and success mean to you? Is it different for different individuals? Or is it the same based on our Bazi chart? If two persons born on the same day, same month, same year and same time, would they share similar perceptions? Therefore, they also will view happiness and success the same way as well. Let's look at it a little deeper from a Chinese metaphysics perspective. Now, in Chinese metaphysics, in a lot of my videos, I covered that we can investigate it from three types of luck perspective. The first one is what we call heaven luck. Now, heaven luck is basically the date, month, year and time of our birth, and that defines basically from a Chinese Bazi perspective, our Bazi natal chart. So there it provides us an insight to our characteristics, our perception of life, basically our DNA when we are born into this world, how we view things, our character, how we do things, and our approach in dealing with people as well as work. That's one part of it. And if we were to use an analogy, this is like the model of a car. So we can be born, for instance, whether are we a model of a Toyota, or are we a model of a Mercedes, or are we a model of a BMW. So that's your Bazi natal chart if we use Ziping Bazi chart. Then if we were to look at the luck cycles, meaning the influences that come into our life every 10 years, which some people call the big luck cycle or the 10-year luck cycle, or on an annual basis, what does the influence of the year in terms of element, how does it interact with your chart? So that's basically, in Chinese they call it yun, or what we call the luck cycles itself. So if we use the same analogy of the car, the natal chart would be the model of the car, and the yun or the luck cycles would be the path that we are driving. Is it a highway or is it a road filled with potholes and it is very bumpy? So that's basically how I would view Bazi in terms of the natal chart as well as the luck cycles in terms of yun. Now, this is the first part which we call heaven luck, which really we can't really change our character because that's how we are born. Whether we have a tendency to be more direct or we have a tendency to be flexible, are we more introverted, are we more extroverted? I think in a lot of Western profiling systems this is also similar. It's something that we are born with. Of course, we can learn to manage it. We can learn to pick up skill sets in order to become maybe more outspoken, extrovert. But when you are at your natural state, you will usually revert back to who you are truly and what you like to do personally and at base. The next part that I would like to talk about, it's really what we call the mankind luck. So what does mankind luck represent? Mankind luck basically represents our upbringing, our values, our attitude and our motivation. And this, over the last 16 years of practice, as well as my 30 years in terms of corporate and business experience, tells me that it is the most important. Now, why is this the case? If you were to look at it from the perspective of two individuals born on the same day, same month, same year, same time. If they are brought up in two different environments, one very restricted, very disciplined, everything has to be planned and no failure is allowed, whereas the other is more laissez-faire. They can basically do whatever they want. They may meet with a lot of obstacles in life, but they will learn to pick themselves up even when they fall down. So given the same kind of influences that come into their chart, though their basic characteristics is the same and the influences of what will happen to them will be the same, because of their upbringing and the experiences that they encounter, therefore the choices, decisions and action they will take will be very, very different. That's why I feel over these many years of practice that our mindset and how we need to manage our perception is crucial. Going back to the car model as well as the driving of the road perspective. If a person is born with a maybe lousy car model and then they see a bumpy road ahead, it is then up to the individual to decide whether do they want to go through resilience training, learning how to drive in bumpy and difficult situations to get to the end and their final destination of where they want to be in terms of reaching their goals and objectives. So two persons born on the same day, same month, same year, same time. One can decide that, hey, I don't want to go through that bumpy road because I will definitely die at the end of it. Another one will say, never mind, I will pad myself up. I will basically go through resilience driving tests and I will just take things as it goes along. What do you think would be the success rate of the first person who doesn't even try? Zero effort means zero success in the end. The other person, at least because they try, they may hit a few obstacles along the way, but at the end of the day, if they persevere, they will definitely reach their final destination, right? So that's the key thing about looking at our Bazi chart and not just sitting there like a sitting duck and say, oh, there's nothing very much I can do. The tool to understand Bazi, your natal chart and your influences, is to give you an insight so that you can prepare yourself. We must remember our adversities do not define us, but our mindset does. If we give up without even trying, without even taking the steps, then you will definitely not succeed. And in many of my consultations recently, people were asking me, am I destined to be broke? Do you see in my chart that I'll be broke one day? Or am I destined to be alone? Would I even find love and good relationship for my life? So these are questions asked based on the fact that when we look at our Bazi natal chart and our influences, that nothing can be changed. And what's my answer to them? My answer to them is, if you think you are destined to be broke, then you are destined to be broke. If you think that you are destined to be alone, then you are destined to be alone. Our chart in terms of Bazi, whether is it natal or influences, tell us the potential pitfalls, tell us potential issues, and it is then up to us to manage our perception of how we want to do. So I hope this message is very clear. Of course, there are charts that are easier to overcome. If your chart is more balanced without a lot of missing elements, if your chart has got more fire element, which means happiness and optimism, of course, it will be a lot easier than compared to someone who has a lot of metal and water in their chart, which basically brings the person into emotional state or have a lot of clashes. Then they will usually have to put in more effort to reach the final goal. They may have to pat themselves up like the car analogy and basically practice resilience driving, fail, pick themselves up and move ahead again. But it does not mean that they will not have success, they will be broke, or that they will be destined to be alone. Because at the end of the day, what you want and whether you will have success and happiness is basically based on your thoughts. Now to me, just like what we talk about Chinese metaphysics in terms of yin and yang, usually we have to experience both sides, be it yin or be it yang, to be able to understand the spectrum and really understand the true meaning of happiness and success. Now what do I mean by that? Well, if you look at an individual, if they have never experienced sadness, separation, being alone, do you think they will truly understand the meaning of happiness? What about those with success? If you have been successful all your life and have never failed before, do you think you will truly understand the sweetness of success when you finally achieve that success after many attempts and failures? No, right? So that's the reason why I often explain to my clients that it's okay to experience ups and downs in your life, because these are life lessons, and when you learn these life lessons, one day you will be able to advise other people and help others, as well as really understand the meaning when you're talking about happiness and success. That's basically from a Chinese metaphysics perspective that we're looking at. Of course, there's the third part, which we call the earth luck, which is feng shui luck. So what does earth luck do then? The first two parts is basically heaven as well as mankind. Now, if we have already taken the steps and basically tweak our mindset to be positive, and that we will try to maneuver through challenging times, especially today, especially the changeover from period 8 to period 9. In previous times, where in period 8 we are talking about everyone studying, getting a good education, finding a great job, building their career such that you become a manager, a director, and therefore retire at the end of your corporate work life. But as we move to period 9, it's going to change, like in a lot of my period 9 videos that I share. And if you have missed those videos, please remember to click on this link that I'm sharing, or I'll be including the video links in the video description below. In period 9, basically the concept of studying hard, getting the education, getting the right job in a good company, and then retiring at the end of your working life, if you are still thinking of this, you are destined for failure, whether it stays in your chart or not. Because period 9 is a period of big changes. So the cycle for anyone, whether it's a good chart, bad chart, favorable period, not favorable period, you have to learn the mindset of resilience. Why? Because it will be study, education, work, and probably you have to reskill and then tweak what you want to do, and it's no longer reliant on one single source of stable income. You have to psych yourself up to ensure that you build multiple streams of income. And I've also mentioned a lot about this in some of my other videos, which you can refer to this link, or you can refer to the links in the video description itself. So let's talk about feng shui. How can earth luck, which is feng shui, help? So earth luck basically governs our living, working environment. So where we spend time in basically either protects us, creates problems for us, or you can use the energies within our environment to enhance our chances of success. So when I basically look at Bazi and then help the person in terms of their mindset, the third most important part is really about spending time in the right locations. And especially in period 9, where the flying star energies are strong in terms of the purple white script, we should ensure that we spend time in the right energy location to create that motivation, to create that inspiration for us to know the type of income stream that we want, Of course, we can also tap on 奇门遁甲 like I discussed in some of my videos. You can click on the 奇门遁甲 series if you'd like to find out more. And what I would like to share is all these years, how did I keep myself motivated? I actually use Flying Star Feng Shui a lot. Besides, of course, making sure that I'm working facing one of my good directions with a back towards a wall. Like you see here, this is my study room. So that's where I've been working all these years, and that's where I have found a lot of inspiration in creating the videos that I'm doing on a weekly basis on YouTube. So that's basically a luck. So let me recap the 3 types of luck when we look at happiness and success in our chart. First, it's Bazi natal as well as the luck cycle. Looking at it from an analogy perspective would be the model of the car, as well as whether your highway, is it bumpy, is it filled with potholes. The second one, which is very crucial, is your mankind luck, your upbringing, your values, your mindset, because that determines really your thoughts, decisions and actions as to what you will do to ensure that you have success. And the third is basically Earth or Feng Shui luck, where you can basically place yourself in the right sectors within your home or your office to ensure and enhance the success and happiness that you are looking for. Therefore, happiness and success is different for different people, even for 2 persons born on the same day, same year, same month, same time. And to me, happiness and success also changes depending on your life stage. I think in my 20s to 30s, I was really looking more for career success and wanting to do well in my career. 30s to 40s is how do I create the happiness and having a good and stable family as well as income. 40s to 50s is basically ensuring that whatever that I do will basically help my family, help my son grow up so that he's able to decide and face life on his own. And at 50s, today, I'm looking at how I can contribute back to the world, and that's why I'm sharing so much videos on YouTube on the Chinese metaphysical system. What about you? I think each of you will have different definitions of happiness and success. Take a moment, reflect on your values, look at your Bazi chart and understand more. And I'm excited to launch a Bazi practical as well as a Feng Shui practical course where I hope to be able to share all the skill sets, tools that I've learned and amalgamated from all the various different masters that I've learned from over the last 16 years, to share my experience on how you can implement it in a practical way, be it looking at Bazi, looking at Feng Shui, on how you can help yourself, your family members, your loved one, your friends, or even build another side gig as a side income, as a coach, Bazi or Feng Shui consultant moving forward. So please do click on the link that I'm showing here or the link in the video description if you'd like to find out more about the course that I have just launched. I'll see you next week. Thank you and goodbye.